Well, I just calibrated one of my clothes irons. I've got it set between 200 and 230 degrees. They say to go over this with an iron less than 250 degrees, so that should be good. So now I'm going to go ahead and go over this leading edge with that iron and smooth out all the wrinkles and lumps and bumps and stuff like that. That's what they say to do before you put the other piece of fabric on there, so it fits over it nice and smooth and the lumps and bumps don't show through on. So that's what we'll do. This shrinks down some of the wrinkles too. I need to shrink this down and form that edge there to go over that wingtip bow. We got little lumps of polytack in here underneath this that didn't get completely smoothed out when I put the fabric on, and this heats those up and that'll blend those in. Don't get it too hot or it'll melt the glue and then the fabric will come loose. We don't want that. The top wing fabric is installed. Well, it's not completely installed yet. I've got it glued onto the leading edge and I've got it glued onto the false bars back here. I was thinking the next step was going to be to form this fabric around this wingtip bow, and I was getting ready to do that. We flipped the wing over this morning so I could get ready to do that. And then I got to thinking about it, and I still have to, I've got this piece here that goes on this aileron outboard rib, or outboard aileron rib as the case may be. Anyway, that's got to be glued down before we go to do the rest of this. And then I've also got the landing light assembly. Probably should cut that out and glue it in. And then the inboard wing rib there, the wing root, that should be glued down. And then we've got the fuel tank bay here on this one, so I probably should glue it down before I start pulling that fabric this way on this end. So I went around just a little bit ago and put some polytack on the cut lines and stuff for the landing light opening, and for the fuel tank bay, we'll make the cutouts for that. One of the things that I need to do is to heat form these edges right here. So if you use a little bit of heat, let's see here, I dropped my hot pad there. So if I put a little bit of heat on this edge, just like ironing a shirt, it'll make it easier to bring that fabric around there. Not trying to shrink it or anything or heat form it like it will when we get to here. Just make that bend a little bit easier to make right there. Now I'll have to take the iron down there to the other end and do the same thing for that root rib, the inboard rib. You see if I just go 90-degree bends on those two. So see if I just go. Okay, that one is done. Well, here's what the polytack looks like when it's dried out. This has come out of the bottom of the container that I was using to put it in. It's still a little sticky. Haven't got all the solvents out of it yet, but see how thin it is right there. Like cellophane paper there, and like rubber or vinyl right there. Anyway, that's the polytack. Poly spray and poly brush are all the same stuff, just different colors. Like I said, this is still a little tacky. Actually, not really tacky, but soft. Actually, here's what came out of the can yesterday. That little thing, it's really thin there, but it takes quite a bit to pull it apart. I got a pair of dividers or compass set here for 1 inch. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put some thinned polytack on that line. That polytack isn't thinned as much anymore as it was when it started. That's what happens when it sits there for a couple days, even with the aluminum foil on it. I'll let that set up. And I'll go down here and look at this landing light set up again. Oh yeah, I need to get the iron over here for this. All right, I need an extension cord for that iron there. My little iron. If this extension cord is long enough. Yeah, just right, I guess. All right, now got a hard bend on this right here. It goes down 180 degrees. Bend it right underneath there. I'm going to have to make darts on these anyway because you got to clear those nutserts that go in here. My wife has been incubating her chickens here for several years. It's really hard to get the chicks shipped up. The outfit that handles the mail where they do the transfer, leave them outside on the ramp, and they get cold. They come with a high mortality rate, but even the ones that do survive, then because they got stressed, a lot of times they'll come have physical problems, cripples and stuff like that. So we've been trying to raise our own chicks as much as possible. We've had an incubator for quite a while. Well, I just bought her a new incubator that's supposed to be pretty nice. One of the problems with incubating the eggs that we've had is that every time she gets a good batch of eggs going, we wound up having a power outage just about the time the eggs are in a critical stage. And so most of them wind up dying, and the ones that don't wind up with physical problems, like I said, the ones that are being shipped up here have. So I got her a new incubator that you can hook up a battery to, a 12-volt battery to, and if the power goes out, it'll automatically switch over to the 12-volt battery. So she just incubated half a dozen ducks, and I don't know what she's got, a bunch of baby chicken chicks, 15 or 16 of those or something like that. I don't know for sure. And it turned out pretty good, but we didn't have a power outage with those until after the chicks had hatched. So I got this tucked up in there. I don't know whether I want to stick that in between those layers. See, there's two layers here on the top. The leading edge skin laps over the bulkhead there for the landing light, the way that was before, and I don't think I'm going to be able to put it in between the two seams there. I'm going to have to run it around the landing light seam like it was before. I should take those doggone screws out of there before I do that. I almost forgot about that. I put screws in there to help line that leading edge up. All right, that's already glued down on there on the leading edge. Gonna get glue in here down to where it's already at. Work it through the fabric. Stretch the fabric a little bit, pulling it up like that, but it'll come down. A little heat on it, it'll come down. All right, and get this one on this side. Now I'm not going to glue it inside of there yet. I'll let this glue set up here first, and then I'll come back and glue down inside, glue that back underneath there. All right, let's go do the end rib. Oh, where do I want to start here? I guess I'll come down here to the false rib side. We'll put glue right up here. Oh, that's got to remember I got to do that. Yeah, I'll just do that. Put it right up here like this. Make that little joggle right there where the fuel tank lid goes. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down to the cap strip for now. Well, let's see. Because this has got to be cut and then tucked under and glued underneath right here. Let's you rub that in, and you want to rub it so that the glue comes right through the fabric and encapsulates the fabric. Now you get a light spot like this, it means it's probably starved for glue and it's not coming all the way through the fabric. It's starting to take on the color of the paint underneath. I want to get it smoothed down as much as possible. We'll finish smoothing it with the iron, but I don't want any more lumps. I want all of that glue to come through, either get squeezed out or come through the fabric. Don't want any lumps in there. We'll have to iron those out later. Making a mess. Checking it twice. We've got a lot of wrinkles in that. We'll come over that with the iron and get that straightened out and shrink that down a little bit. All right, that's not smart doing that while the glue still hasn't set up, so it worked. It smoothed it out along here, took those bubbles out of it, those blisters out of it, smoothed it out pretty nice. Looks pretty darn good. But this leading edge here, still the glue's got to set up some more on that before I do any more to that. Actually, it didn't turn out too bad, but I can shrink that or get that down a little bit more. So let's see what we can do now with the landing light assembly. We'll go back down there now. Now, how do I want to do this? I want to do this portion here first. All right, so I need to cut out here where these nut zerts are. All right, here's my got a little popsicle stick or stirring stick here. I use that to smooth those down in there. My pinky finger, it feels pretty good. I can't really see in there what I'm doing, so I'm putting it on the metal, and I'm also putting it on the fabric right here, so I make sure I get a good bond with this stuff. Not that it really should matter. This not going to get a whole lot of pressure on it, I don't think. All right, pre-shaping that with the iron really made a big difference on that. Made it go in there pretty easy. It fits in there good. Right, the inside of those are painted with that PPG paint, primer paint, and it's coming off in my fingers. Now we got nut plates instead of nut zerts on here. The nut zerts or thread zerts, they're only a little bigger than the size of the screw. They're 1/4 inch or so, so cutting out around those doesn't take very much. But these nut plates are wider like this, so I got to cut out a little bit more on those to clear. And I'm going to make a slit right here for this bulkhead here, this center divider. Now this is going on to the powder coated, and I'm not getting anything pulling off on that powder coating like I did on the primer coat on the inside of those ribs right there. Yeah, that's good. You can see the white right there. That's the primer from the inside surface of these ribs and stuff. My little stick. All right. So now we get to take the razor blade to this. Okay, so that's the next thing to do, is to glue this down to that. And so I need to take the iron again, and I turned the doggone iron off, and bend those down. It's probably still hot enough to do that. So I've got that outboard aileron rib tacked on there, glued on there, and I got this inboard rib glued up on the inboard side of it, and I've got the landing light all fixed up. That looks really good. So the next thing to do now, I've got this cut out, and we'll glue this piece up. So this will be glued down here to this joggle here where the fuel tank fits into, the fuel tank cover fits into, and then down on the face here of this leading edge cover. Again, this one's got a joggle in it here on this rib for the fuel tank cover. We'll glue that down to that rib and then turn it under like that and glue it up underneath it. Same thing on this inboard rib. I'll finish gluing this one up underneath that inboard rib. And then this back one is just the same as the front one. It goes down in this joggle for the fuel tank cover, and then down onto the lip here of the false rib, false bar. All right, I had time to take a break for a minute, 2 minutes. Well, I had a little break. Went down and had a little bite to eat. Oh, now it's time to get back up here and get started again. I think I'm going to try starting first with this rib right here and see what I can do with it. Fabric's a little tighter on there than would be good. Get in there and get the poly tack on that. Probably be better if my arms were longer and I could reach all the way across that thing. Let's see, maybe I can. I'm gluing it down to the top here to the cap strip and this fuel tank flange first. Now, the book recommended you wear vinyl gloves or liquid gloves, at least. They didn't say anything about nitrile gloves, but I don't think when that book was written they had nitrile gloves. Now, I've tried nitrile gloves on these, and they don't last very long. You got to kind of wonder how long vinyl gloves are going to last, because this is vinyl that I'm putting on here. They say they don't last too long. You just replace them because they're cheap. So we'll see. Actually, so far they seem to be working okay. All right, now we'll go to this one right here. Since I'm right here, peel that back and put the glue along this joggle edge where it screws down, and maybe get some just past it onto the leading edge just a little bit. And we'll do the same thing here, is glue this down on this aft false bar in this joggle and get a little bit of glue down on the false bar itself. And then after this all sets up, then they'll come in and do this tab here and glue it down farther. So this front rib here has been dry long enough. This is cured up good here. Well, I can go ahead and glue this on. I got 2 layers of fabric here to glue on. I've got the first layer that I put on yesterday. Uh-oh, there went my applicator. So I've got this inside rib, the fabric on it glued down pretty good, and I used a whole bunch of those little clamps to hold it up there while it sets up. I'm going to go ahead and wait. That one's actually set up okay, I guess. Could go ahead and glue that one down. This one here is going to go back underneath it again, and I might want to use all these clamps to hold that up when I glue that up. And this one here I just got finished with, and it's still green, still a little soft. Oh, let's see how we can do with that one, whether I can get it or not. Whoop. Oh yeah, this one set up good enough that I can go ahead and glue it down here. Maybe I'll go ahead and do that back side too. On a roll here now. Okay, that does that. Just gonna need some work with the iron to get it cleaned up. Probably should bring a little iron over here to do that, I guess. It's easier to get in underneath this stuff. We'll let this all set up some more. Make sure all the solvent's flashed out of it. I am ecstatic with this. Very, very happy. The next thing to do is to pull that wingtip down there and shape it. This I can iron and get it cleaned up anytime before we start putting tapes and stuff on it, so it'll be fine. Yeah, that's sticking underneath there good. That's good. This is good. I could probably use a razor and clean these edges up on that where it hangs over that lip a little bit, but it doesn't really make any difference. All right, well, let's move things around here a little bit.